The people I once trusted have betrayed my deepest secrets. Chapter 86 Otis. It came to my hearing that Mabel was killed just like I had expected. I knew that she was just a pawn in my game. She was meant to die anyway. I was glad that she didn't let Erica in on what was going on. Everything seems to be going smoothly because I knew that, if Erica had known of the fact that I was the one who was behind it all, then she would have attacked me. I knew that she isn't someone who can keep cool about things like this. She hates betrayals, and I make sure I stalk her to be sure she isn't aware, and I was glad she isn't. I was glad that Mabel did her job dutifully without any flaws, and most especially because she didn't make any mistakes. I was happy that my secret was still safe. I knew that I would have to move on quickly to my next step when I remembered that I had a new pawn in my nest. I knew that I had been having someone who always gets caught up with my plans. I knew that I wasn't the one who brought the new pawn, but he came directly at me. There is this alpha named Titus who has been sending letters to me about how he wants to kill Jerome and have Erica to himself. The alpha turned out to be one of those that were after power and authority. I knew that the man's pack would be more powerful than before if it were his pack, and I won't allow that. I will make sure that none of that happens. I will make sure I kill the alpha after he's gotten everything ready. I have been informed by the alpha that he had been spying on both of them, and it turned out that they will be going on a trip to another pack in today's time. The alpha had told me that he had his men stationed there, and that they would be hijacked before they could leave the place. The alpha told me that he would tie Jerome down for me to send my men. He said he would meet me at my hideout the next day. He said that we would meet the next day where things would be settled. I will go with everything he has planned out, but I will make sure I get everything ready to kill him. I knew that I couldn't trust someone like him. I don't know how he got the information that I was the one who sent those men after Jerome. I knew that since his sources were strong, then I will use him before wasting him. I can't let someone like him be with Erica. I knew that I might have been trying Jerome, but I don't have any intentions of hurting Erica. I was seated in my office sorting out the paperwork, and I finished it off as soon as I could. I knew that I can't let my ambitions get in the way of my pack. I still need to take care of my pack. I was going to find a perfect plan in place where I can take Jerome to. I can't wait to see the shocked expression on Jerome's face when he noticed that I was the one who was responsible for it all. I will explain everything to him, and after that I will kill him. Get to my office, I said authoritatively into the mind link. We'll be there in a jiffy. My beta replied, and I rolled my eyes. Good afternoon. Alpha, I heard my beta voice greet me, and I raised my head to see him in the hallway leading to my door. He opened the door almost immediately, and he bowed his head immediately as he got to MH table. I want you to find one of the best warehouses that I have outside the pack. I want you to make it much more comfortable because I will be using it soon. You should make a cellar where I can hold a powerful lichen. You should make sure that the place is heavily guarded, I said to him, and he nodded his head. I will do just like you have said, Alpha, he said with his head bowed. You can leave, I said with the corner of my lips curving into a smirk. I was excited that things would be just like I have always wanted in days' time. I will be sure to get rid of the person who is a threat to me being the leader of the Werewolf Council. I sighed heavily as I stared at the blank paper that was on my table. I was trying to figure out a plan on how to kill the man who had been giving me information. I knew that I would have to use the help of guards there. I knew that the man might also have those who are backing him up, and it might be dangerous. I know that I will have to be ready for whatever is coming. I knew that the man might try to snitch on me if I was to let him go. I will make sure that he doesn't have the chance to snitch on me. I mapped out the plan that I will use in getting rid of the man, and I made sure that no one would know about it. I knew that anyone in my pack might be one of his men, and with that way I knew he was up to no good. I knew that the only one that is currently a threat to me will soon be gone, and that the only person left would be the mysterious Alpha who had been trying to help me. I smiled happily as I stood up from where I was seated, and I walked out of my office with the intention of going to my house. I knew that the Omega I called to be in my room would have been there already. I knew that she would definitely help me in blowing some steam up. I opened the door to my house, and I was met with the sight of the Omega, who had her clothes on, and she was under the duvet. I flipped the duvet away from her body, and it landed on the floor beside the bed. I towered over her, and I could see the clothes she wore. She wore a sexy nightgown, and I knew with no doubt that she wore the clothes for me. I gently placed my lips on her, and we battled with our tongues while fighting for dominance. After a while I bit her lips and she moaned out in my mouth, giving me the opportunity to slide my tongue into her mouth. I removed her clothes with my hands and one of my hands went to her breast to take off her brassiere, but I found none and I used my hands to fondle her breast. I pulled away from the kiss and my mouth went to her nipples. I took her nipples into my mouth while pleasuring her. And I didn't forget about the other because I started fingering her breast. I changed my mouth and also did the same to her other breast. The Omega was busy moaning out loud. And with that I trailed kisses over her body till my mouth was close to her pussy. She wore transparent and sexy pants and I brought my nose close to her pussy, inhaling her scent, and I could feel a tingle of excitement run down her spine. I tore her pants within seconds and I started pleasuring her pussy with my tongue while sucking and nibbling her pussy. Soon she came really hard and I licked her pussy juices off her. I removed my dick, which was now hard, and I brought it close to her pussy before inserting it in her well-lubricated pussy. I kept on thrusting into her with a slow pace while taking my time to reach her limit, and I could feel my dick hitting her womb. I was also pleasuring her body at time also, and after what seemed like hours to them, but barely an hour, we both conned hard. I was happy about the whole thing, knowing that I will soon be accomplishing my dream. I knew that I would have gotten that done before, but if not because I took pity on him. Chapter 87. Erica, we are on our way to the fake trip, which Easter he used as a bait. I have told him everything he need to do, and he had already agreed to do everything. I was not happy that I will be using him as a bait. I hated the fact that he might end up getting hurt at the end, but I knew that this was our only resort. I didn't tell anybody about the plan. The plan was only known to Jerome and me only. I knew that any of those who are my pack members might be spies. I knew that I can't trust any of them because they might want to betray me. I've learned it in a hard way not to trust people easily. I could see how Jerome was betrayed by his best friend. And I knew that might also happen with me if I'm not careful, so I've to be vigilante and mind conscious. I looked at Jerome, who seems to be lost in his world of thoughts. I don't know what he's thinking, but I'm certain that it is about the new plan. It's a thing to think about. I reached out to his hand, attracting his attention to me. He looked at me with his face filled with concern and worries. I wonder why he's worried. I'm supposed to be worried instead. What's wrong? I questioned, looking at him with a worried look on my face. He smiled gently at me, masking his worried expression even though it all written on his face. Nothing is wrong. I'm fine. You would be alone after I get captured, he whispered as he leaned closer to me. I glared at him with a glimpse of sadness in my eyes. Not like I'm going to leave you in that place for so long. I'm going to come for you. You know that, right? And he nodded his head gently. We made sure to talk in silent and whisper that no one could hear our conversation. I wouldn't risk our plan being leaked out to Otis, because I can't trust anyone but even my family. Yes, you're right. That's the reason why I love you. And slammed his lips on mine. I would want I can do without you, I said before reciprocating to the kiss. We stopped the kiss abruptly as we heard the grunting sound of the horse. We've arrived. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I looked up with a confused look on my face. So soon? I questioned no one in particular. You don't expect us to stay here forever. And I nodded my head gently with a smile. I stood up from the chair and I walked over to him with a sad look on my face. I think it's high time we leave. We don't want to miss today, or he might find out that something weird was going on, I said to him, and he nodded. I leaned in closer to him and he kissed my lips lightly. I have been close to Jerome now and things are now starting to work out between us. He now understands why I had killed his best friend. I knew that we won't have gotten this far with everything if she didn't die. I won't be able to tell it to his face that his best friend died because I wanted things to go the way I want. I knew that I would have to kill her even if she isn't to be used as bait. I knew that she would not be able to get away. She had did an unforgivable sin, and the only resort to that is killing the person who was responsible. I knew that it might sound cruel, but she had decided to do something more cruel. We walked out of his room and we headed toward the pack's border where everything was ready. We both entered the place and I knew that it was time for me to know the status of the men I had informed to stay at the place where we will be fought. I had told some of my pack warriors who weren't known They've always worked underground without anyone knowing. I knew that they were the ones who would be perfect for the job since no one knows about them, and they can also act like those alphas Titus sent. I knew that choosing a name like Titus isn't cool, but I'm not using it to let him know that it's me. What the hell is going on? I thought I told you guys to sabotage us, but why didn't you do that? I linked the head of those that I have sent to attack us. We were attacked and we were forced to retreat. And I had thought this was all part of your plan. The person responsible is your opponent. You should be ready because you might be attacked any moment from now, I heard him say, and I sighed heavily knowing that he had thought that I was going to betray him. I knew that he might have been aware of me being the other person, and that was set by Otis. There is a change of plans. My men won't be the one who would be attacking, but Alpha Otis' men would do the job, I said to him, and he sighed heavily before nodding his head softly. Everything will be good, I said to Jerome, who didn't alter a word. I knew that he wasn't happy with everything, but he knew that this needed to be done for things to start going smoothly. We arrived at the pack shortly and I sighed heavily, not knowing what to say or do. I knew that all what I had wanted to do will be done by someone else, and not only that, but he will be attacking in a different time. I knew that we would be attacked when we were on our way back to our pack. I knew that everything wouldn't be pleasant. Chapter 88, Jerome. I was starting to get scared about the whole thing, thinking that Elf Otis knew about our plans. I knew that it wouldn't be easy for me to scale through if he had known about our plans. I knew that it wouldn't be an easy thing to do. I knew that it would be hard for me to know if he had any idea about all this. I was starting to feel my eyes bore holes into the chariot, which was made out of wood. I was soon lost in my own thoughts, a frown on my face, not knowing what to do or say. We are under attack, I heard Erica's voice say with a screeching look on her face that held a hint of fear. She tried hard to hide her emotions, but they were all over the place before she knew it. We can do this, I muttered to her while trying to act bold while hiding all my true emotions behind. I was scared about the whole thing, and I don't want her to be afraid after knowing that I'm not happy about the whole thing. I knew she might end up hating me, but I don't want that to happen. I was going to do things the way I wanted and make sure that nothing bad happened. I knew not to scare Erica further. I knew that everything would go as planned or go wrong. I knew that it wasn't confirmed that I would be able to live a normal life like others. I knew that I might be stuck with everything that had to do with myself. I knew that there must be something that the head of the Werewolf Council was trying to hide from others by trying to kill me. I knew that whatever he was keeping was going to be something dangerous. I knew that it would be hard for me to get everything done easily. We need to act according to the plan, I said to her, and she nodded her head tearfully as she leaned in to kiss me. I took her lips and kissed her deeply. Our tongues fight for dominance, not bothering about what was going on at that moment. It was like we were the only ones in the world. It seemed like the whole world had stopped, but I knew that couldn't happen. I knew that I couldn't escape from all this and that the head of the Werewolf Council would come after me. I knew that it would be hard for him to do all this, and I knew that he would have bigger plans for me since he knew of my Lycan's abilities. We were lost in the kiss, and we only broke it after knowing that the rogues were catching up on us. The warriors who were driving the chariot had been killed, and I could sense that our chariot had been surrounded. I stood up, and I opened the chariot to be me with a lot of rogues. I knew that the rogues were many and that even Erica would get hurt. I don't have any intentions of hurting her, but I knew that there was nothing I could do about it. I knew that we would need to push everything through. I heard a man say among the countless rogues that were standing in front of us. I knew that the person must have been their leader to be able to control them. They all charged at us, and we wasted no time in trying to fight them all. I knew that there was no way we would be able to fight them easily. I knew that we wouldn't be able to fight and win against all the rogues. I knew that this was what the head of the council had wanted. I knew that he wanted Erica not to be able to save me. Soon before I knew it, we were badly injured and Erica was bleeding, and I felt a new surge of power and felt myself wanting to lose control. But I knew not to let that happen. I knew that I would have to stay put, just like I am now, for the head of the Werewolf Council to believe that all this was real. I knew that he would feel like something was suspicious if I tried to fight back with my Lycan's power. I knew that he would know that I had been holding back all this time. I knew that things might be worse if he found out about that. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Leave. I won't want you to get injured. You can always come back for me. You don't have to worry, I muttered while staring at her, with pleading eyes. I knew for a fact that all this was just like I have always memorized. I have always memorized what I will say before I get caught, but now it seems to be slightly different. I now understand why it won't be possible for me to see her get hurt. I knew that I wouldn't have the mental capacity to watch the scene. I knew that I would blame myself if anything happened to her. And now she's badly injured. And it's all because of me. She tried helping, but she got hurt. I knew all this might be fake, but I won't let it get in the way of my expressing my emotions. I can't leave you here alone. You have no idea what you meant to me, she said with a sad look on her face. And it looked like tears would start streaming down her face. We can't believe the almighty person who had been trying hard to get our attention is now in our grasp. I heard them say a haunting lie, and I wanted to flaunt it to them that everything is all right with me. But I knew that would only ruin our plans. I knew we had gone too far for all this. I knew that it would be hard for us to get a tangible reason to do so and evidence. I knew that since he is the head of the council and he can easily buy his way through everything, I would end up getting hurt myself and also get punished. Chapter 89. Notice I knew that I might end up being betrayed by the so-called aficionados. I knew that it might be a set-up plan from someone unknown, and I knew I would have to be cautious. I knew that things might get worse with me wanting to get everything ready. I knew that I would have to use a new strategy. I knew that if the so-called Alpha didn't retaliate after everything I was going to do, he was really in it for the long it. I knew that if he really wants to be with Erica, then he will have to keep his calm after all that I have done. I knew that it wouldn't be good if I jumped into business with an unknown person. I knew that I might end up being betrayed by him. I knew that I had betrayed a lot of people, that I had let things go as I planned, and that it would be easy for me to get what I wanted in that way. I knew that there wouldn't be such a thing happening to me. I knew that I wouldn't be able to trust people easily since they are after me because of what they are going to get. They might want to betray me in the future, and I want to avoid all that. I knew not to trust people easily since I have done a lot of shady things for them and for myself. I have decided to send some of my men to go after aficionados men. I knew that I should get rid of them and replace them with my men's. I knew that the Alpha might have a mission aside from wanting Erica to be his mate. I knew that anyone to whom I didn't send a request to join my team but who wanted to be a member of the Werewolf Council was the only one who knew what I wanted. I knew that there was no way word would have gotten out about me being the one who wanted Jerome dead. I knew that things were adding up, and I knew that he might want to help me but instead want me to do something for him. I was glad that everything was starting to get better. I was happy when I heard the voice of the leader of those I sent to get rid of the aficionados men. I was told that the matches couldn't be helped. I knew that there was no way to get things done like this. I knew that I would need the rogues to act as the man who had been killed by my men. I knew that I would have to find a way to get things done myself. And I knew the only thing I could do was find ways to kill Jerome. I know that I shouldn't trust anybody to get that done. I knew that I might be promised that they would do just as I have said. But, in reality, they were only trying to act to get closer to me. I know that I don't need fake friends right now. And all I want are friends who will stay with me till the end. I will make adjustments. I knew that I would have to find friends who were content with working for me. I knew not to betray the trust of those who had always been my loyal men. I will make sure I appreciate a lot of things. How are the plans for the place I asked for? I said through the mind link that I wanted to know how things were going. Everything had been ready, and the guards you requested to guard the place are there already. I heard my beta reply, and I smiled with a contented smile on my face. I cast the mind link, and with that, I left my office. I walked toward the direction of the underground cell, which had a pack of rogues who were being held by me. I've decided to use them as pawns instead of making aficionados men do it. I knew that aficionados wasn't to be trusted since he had nothing to offer me. I knew that I would have to strike a deal with the pack of rogues for me to be able to do what I wanted. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, Heartfelt thanks for your unfading patience, enthusiasm. The men have been killed, I heard the voice of a warrior say, and I smiled with satisfaction. I was staring at the door of the cell that was holding the rogues. You did a great job, I commented to the warriors before cutting off the mind link. I knew that things were now working in my favor. I knew that it would only take me a day to put my plans into action. I can't help but feel happy that I will soon be killing the boy whom I should have killed years ago but spared because of the pity I had for him. I knew that if I hadn't shown an atom of pity, then all this would have been avoided. I shrugged all the thoughts out of my head and focused on what was in front of me. I knew that I would have to take it one step at a time and that I didn't need to rush myself through it. I knew that there were a lot of things that I needed to do, but I would have to get them done quickly. I walked into the cellar, and I walked in with a cold look on my face. I knew that I would have to change my emotions to hide my happy face from them. I knew that there was a time for everything. I knew that there was still time for me to rejoice, and I will do that later. I smirked heavily as I saw all the rogues. Attention turned on me. There were loads of rogues here, and that is because I caught a pack of them. They have been trying to be discreet by trying to create their pack before they got caught by me. I walked towards the cell that was holding the man who seemed to be the alpha of the rogues. I knew that I would only have to strike a deal with him to agree to work with me. I want you to help me. And I saw a smile curve on the lips of the rogue's alpha, who seemed to be amused by that. You must be joking, you think, that I will help you. I can't help you, the alpha of the rogue said, and I rolled my eyes at him. You will, because I'm going to give you freedom, and not only that, but you will have your own pack, I said to him, and I saw his face lighten up with joy and spark with so much excitement. I heard him say the word I have been willing to hear. I will work for you. Chapter 90 Jerome. After I was taken away by the rogues, I was taken to a place in the woods, and I couldn't help but feel scared about the whole thing. My eyes were filled with the fear of the unknown. My lips gave way as a small whimper escaped my mouth. I felt my body freeze as I was being dragged into a place that looked more like a cave. My breath was seized instantly, and I was in a daze. My eyes gazed all over the place with a tingling of fear rushing down my spine. My gaze was moving to and fro, not knowing what to do. My eyes were closed as I ruminated on what to do. I knew that the best option was to wait for Erica to come save me, but I could feel myself wanting to test out my powers, and I knew not to do that because any wrong move I took might put me in danger. I knew I would have to wait patiently for Erica to come, and if she doesn't come in the next 2 days, then I will do things my way. I will make sure things go smoothly, like I have always wanted. My eyes were fixed on the wall of the cell that I was put in. I knew that things would not go as I wanted because I could feel something wrong. I knew that the head of the werewolf council must have been testing the so-called alpha-titus. I knew that he wanted to know what his expression would be to know if he could trust him. I knew that he was only trying to play games with him to know if he was after something else. I knew that there was no way he would have suspected things. I knew that all this would be over soon, and that is because I knew he would not want me to be killed easily. He will want to let alpha-titus be here before that. I knew that the only way to catch him was to make act according to the plan. I knew that anything aside from Erica coming to save me just as planned would fail. I knew that there was no other way any other strategy would work in this situation. I knew that I would have to get ready for tomorrow. I knew that it wouldn't be as easy as I had thought. I was locked up in the cell without food, and I could feel my stomach aching. I knew that this wasn't the right time for me to feel hungry and all sorts of things, but I do. My gaze was furrowed, not knowing what to do. I knew that I should have been prepared for this, but I wasn't. I couldn't sleep due to the fact that this room is filled with a lot of wolfsbane, which was weakening me. I could see the silver that was used to make the cell, which made me shiver. I knew that I couldn't escape from this place, and I could only wait for Erica to initiate our plan. I was sitting on the ground while trying to be cautious of my environment. I knew not to let things slide for a moment. I knew how dangerous it could be if anything is let slide by without any action by me. I was lost in my thoughts, thinking of things that could possibly happen, when all of a sudden I heard the sound of things crashing against the walls of the place. I was filled with fear. which was starting to make me feel sweaty all of a sudden. I don't know what was going on, but I pray it will be Erica's men, whom she told me about. She told me her men will break in here, killing all the guards silently, before they are able to contact Alpha Otis. I knew that I might end up being disappointed because the men might not be that of Erica. I knew that they might just be rogues who were snooping. I walked toward the cell door while holding it, not minding the burning sensation that traveled all over my body. I tried hard to keep up with everything while peeping to make sure that things were going as we had planned. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Are you all right? I heard a voice ask, and it turned out to be one of the men who was sent here by Erica. I breathed a sigh of relief and released my hold on the cell bars. I'm fine. How is everything going? Hope there are no flaws in the plan, I asked with a curious look on my face, forgetting about feeling hungry. I knew that this was more important than that. Everything is going as planned, you don't have to worry. My men are cleaning up the place so as not to leave any trails behind for it not to be spotted by the zoo, called Alfie Otis. I heard the man say, and I was able to breathe a sigh of relief. And once again I felt my stomach rumble and I felt my stomach hurt. I'm hungry, I muttered with an embarrassed look on my face. And he smiled at me before removing a food flask from a bag that I hadn't seen when he first entered. Here you go, he said as he handed the flask to me with a genuine smile on his face. I ate the food without any questions. I finished the food off within minutes, and I handed the flask to him after I was done. And I drank some water that he gave me along with the water. My hands burned as I returned the glass of coffee to him, and he seemed to notice it. He stared at me with a worried look on his face, and he held the cell bars. He winced in pain after noticing that the bars were laced with wolfsbane. Are you hurt? He asked me as he took his hands off the bar of the cell with a questioning look on his face. I knew that he was probably scared because of what he had just noticed. I'm fine, I muttered, not wanting him to be more worried about me. It feels weird to know that someone is worried about me. I will change the cell bars, I heard him say, and my eyes widened with shock. I knew it wouldn't be good if he changed it, and it would easily give me out. I knew that Alpha Otis would feel that something was amiss as soon as he got here. You don't have to do that, it will all be known to the Alpha, and I won't want that, I said to him, and he smiled. The look on his face made me think that he had a way out of it. He would not feel anything of the sort. You will be wearing a glove when he comes tomorrow, I heard him say, and I breathed a sigh of relief. You can go ahead with that, I said to him, and he bowed his head before leaving to make preparations for the change of the cell bars. I knew that it would only take them a couple of hours before they would be done with it, and I'm happy about it. I knew there was no way things wouldn't go according to plan if everyone fulfilled their part. I smiled as I stared around the place after they were done with it. They made sure that there were no flaws left behind, and I'm glad that they were cautious. I knew that any mistake would put me in grave danger, and I don't want to die now. I knew that there was still a lot of things to do with Erica. I knew that it was too early for me to die without fulfilling any of my dreams. I woke up due to the rays of sun that penetrated the cellar through the small windows of the cell room. I groaned as I sat upright. My head was pounding heavily, and I couldn't help but groan. I felt my body aching for Erica's touch, and I knew it would only be a matter of time before she got here. I knew that, after that, everything would be settled. Good morning. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Here is your food, I heard the man's voice say as he handed me a flask and a cup of water. I ate the food, and I gave the water back to the man. I was waiting patiently, knowing that I would have to face a trial. I knew that the head of the Werewolf Council would be here soon, and not only that, Erica would be here also. The head of the Werewolf Council is here, I heard the men whisper, as Erica had told them to disguise themselves. Look who we have here, if not the Lycan Prince, I heard the man say immediately after he entered. I was trying to act shocked to see him, but when I heard his words, I was truly shocked. Chapter 91. Otis. I was glad that things had worked out my way, and I woke up early in the morning just like I had planned. I sent a letter to Alpha Titus the previous night, telling him the location where we would be meeting to kill Jura. I was glad that the Alpha meant business since he understood my fear, and I was glad that he still wanted to proceed with the plan. I make my way out of my pack with a look of happiness morphed on my face. Anyone who sets his or her eyes on me will notice the vibrant smile that is on my face. I was glad that my plans have fallen into place, and I don't have any reason to panic anymore. I was glad that all this had happened, and I knew I wouldn't have made progress if not for the help of Alpha Titus. I have made up my mind to make his pack flourish more, and that means helping me eliminate Jerome. I walked toward the direction of the cave in which Jerome is being held. With anyone following me, I knew that there was no way I would be harmed, and that was because I am the fourth strongest wolf in the whole country. No alpha can take me on alone, and it would take the help of 2 to 3 alphas to take me down. I knew that I wasn't the strongest wolf if Jerome was still alive. I knew that I was nothing compared to him. He had everything it took to be the leader of the Werewolf Council. But I'm not giving in. I will make sure that things go smoothly. Good morning. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I heard the voice of the guards, whom I told to look over Jerome in the cellar where he had been taken. I ignored them and I walked in almost immediately, and I saw a shocked look on Jerome's face as he saw it was me. He looked more terrified than scared. His body turned pale with fear as he stared at me with an unbelievable look on his face. Jerome muttered as he stared at me with shock. I moved toward his cellar, and he moved backward with fear etched on his face. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Put this on for you not to get burned by the bars of the cell, one of the guards said as he stared at me with a concerned look on his face, and he stretched his hand, which had a glove in it, toward me. You must be wondering why I'm here, I said with a smug look on my face as I wore the gloves and walked closer to the cell bars. I touched it with my gloved hands, and I played with it for a while, loving the look on his face. I started with a small smile on my face, and I can see the look of confusion in his eyes. I should have killed you when I killed your parents, I said again, and I could see the look on his face change. He had a killer look on his face, and I chuckled. It all started like this. I was your father's best friend, and he was the leader of the council. We both shared everything. We were best friends, and he made me the second in power after him, and I have always been jealous of him. I have been jealous of him from the onset, and it surprised me to know he had no idea about it, I said with a pause while staring at him to make sure he was still listening to me. I killed him after finding his weakness. He was the only Lycan who was trained by a mage. He had it all power, and every other thing. I wasn't satisfied with that. I want to be like him, and there is no way I can do that without killing him. He had found his mate while I didn't. He didn't care about me, and instead he focused his attention on you and your mother. I found a way to kill him, and that's by killing his mate. He was honorable when your mother was killed by me. I made sure that no one knew that I was responsible, and after that, I poisoned him slowly, and I stabbed his heart when the poison was taking effect, I said with a sarcastic laugh. How dare you? I heard him say, and I chuckled with a smug look on my face. I wanted to spare you, so I took you to the Blood Moon Pack. I sealed off your powers, and I made you a human. I knew your powers would be unleashed, and I wanted you to stay in your old pack, but you didn't. I tried killing you every chance I got, but you were always saved by Erica, I said with a disdainful look on my face. I didn't have any intentions of killing you before, but now I do. I was going to give you the opportunity to live a normal life like every other person. I don't want you to be with Erica because of your powers. I was afraid that she would find out about you, and she did. I have always loved Erica like a daughter, and I don't want you to harm her. I would have killed her if I didn't love her like the daughter I never had, I said as I stared at him with a truthful look on my face. You did all that you did because of fame and wealth, I heard him say bitterly, with tears dripping down his eyes. He doesn't have a surprised look on his face anymore, but he had a sad look on his face. You would have been dead a long time ago if not for Erica to save you. Erica won't be here to save you anymore. And she won't know any of this, I said with a coaxed smile on my face. You're wrong, I will be here to save him again, I heard a voice say behind me, and I instantly knew that the voice belonged to Erica. My body froze with shock, not knowing what to say or do. Chapter 90 to Erica. I woke up as quickly as I could, ignoring everyone. I knew that they all thought that I was still grieving over Jerome's disappearance. But I'm not. I knew exactly what was going on, and there was nothing anyone would say to me that would make me talk to them. Everybody was extremely worried about me and how I'm faring without Jerome being kidnapped. I didn't eat last night because I didn't know how Jerome was faring wherever he was. I was glad to know that the men I had sent to go after him were with him. I had a new sense of security. I walked toward the direction of the place where Jerome was. I shifted into my wolves from after I noticed that I still had a lot of distance to cover. I shifted back into my human from after I had gotten to the place. And the guards who were there bowed their heads immediately when they saw me. They all wore smiles on their faces, which makes me believe that Alpha Otis hasn't done anything to him. I knew that they wouldn't be as calm as they are now if he were hurt. They all make sure not to talk because I might be noticed by Alpha Otis. I could hear what was being said in the place, and I felt my heart ache after hearing what Jerome was being told by Alpha Otis. My heart broke into a million pieces. I knew that it was time for me to make an entrance, and as I had wanted to enter, I heard what Alpha Otis said, and I knew I should use that as an entrance. Alpha Otis seemed shocked to see me there, and I can see him shiver slightly. I was filled with anger at that moment. What the hell are you doing here? I heard him ask while staring at me confused, and I glared at him hatefully. I had always doubted that he wasn't the one who was responsible for all that had happened, but I now know the truth. I knew that there was nothing left to be done other than face the harsh truth. It hurt to know the person I had trusted had betrayed me. I had thought that Mabel was only bluffing when she told me, but now I can see it. There is nothing in my mind other than to kill him immediately. You broke my trust, and now you are asking me what I'm doing here, I said as I stared at him with a pained look on my face, not wanting to believe all this. I had always thought that Mabel was trying to pull everything on him for some reason, but now I know he was the one behind it all. How do you know this place? Alpha Otis asked as he stuttered slightly because he was afraid. He doesn't seem to want me to be aware of everything going on, but I eventually became aware of it. I knew that this was an unexpected turn of events, and it still doesn't stop to amaze me. I knew that my intuition was right. I shouldn't trust anyone because any one of them might be the enemy. I knew that I wasn't expecting someone like him to be my true enemy, but now it turned out that he was. I knew this place through you talked to me about it, I said to him, and he stared at me with a raised eyebrow. He seems to be less concerned about the whole thing, and he is starting to feel relaxed. How do you know this place through me? I don't remember telling you anything like that, he said as he stared at me, his cold gaze penetrating into my body. I have been sending letters to you through a bird. Does the name Alfred Titus ring a bell? I asked him as I stared at him angrily. I wanted him to be aware of all the things he had said to me, and I wanted him to regret them all. I knew that this was the only defeat I could say I had, even after killing him. I knew that killing him didn't mean that I had won or gotten back at him. I knew that from the look on his face when he realized that he had been tricked enough. I knew that this would only make me have the upper hand before killing him. You are nothing but a despicable bitch. You think you can come here and leave scot-free. You won't leave to tell the tale, he said with a stern look on his face, and I chuckled knowing that he was thinking that I don't have everything under control. He thought I would come here without being prepared, but he is wrong. Guards, kill her, I heard him yell, and the guard stood there rooted to the ground without moving a muscle. He seemed shocked to know you have everything under control. His mouth was agape as he stared at me with an unknown emotion swirling through his eyes. He had a defeated look on his face, and I feel happy about it all. I feel happy that I was able to defeat him in his own game. I was happy that I would be able to get revenge on the man who had killed my friend's parents. I have always wanted to get to the button of Jerome and find whatever was being hidden, And now I feel fulfilled to know that we were able to get to the button. I knew that it might not have been an easy thing to know all of this. But the betrayal of people made us strong. First we were betrayed by Mabel. And now we have the so-called leader of the werewolf council, whose goal was to kill my mate. I don't know if I will be able to get a mate like Jerome if he happens to have been killed since he was little. I knew that it must have been hard for Jerome to live his life after knowing this were wiped by the evil council leader. Chapter 93 Otis. It came as a huge shock to me to know that all this was a plan from Erica. She made me look like a fool. She had outrun me and found ways to protect her mate at all costs. And I felt myself wanting nothing other than to kill her. My eyes turned red as I tried hard not to kill her immediately. I knew that there would be no words of all this to anyone out there if they are both dead. I knew that I had to kill Erica and Jerome, and I have been trying to avoid that as well. It hurt me to know that I will have to kill someone like Erica someday, but I knew there was nothing I could do to escape that. I knew that I would end up killing her today to make sure everything that happens here stays a secret. I knew that I would also have chances of acquiring Erica's pack for myself. I knew that it would make my pack more broody than it is. I was happy that I would finally be gaining a new pack for myself. I knew that it wouldn't be easy for me to take on Erica since she is a strong alpha herself, but I knew there was no way she could defeat me. I know that I have years of experience when it comes to duels, and Erica is just a kid beside me. I knew that there would be nothing that she could do for herself if she were to fight me. I knew that since I was already determined to kill her, no one should be able to stop me from achieving my goals. I knew that it was only a matter of time before Erica would be killed, and as much as I hate to do this, I had no choice. I knew that I would have to kill her, not because she had done something bad, but because she knew what I had done. I knew that there was no way that she would be able to forgive me and also let things slide. I'm not going to give you a minute to live. You will be killed by me soon. I note that you brought this upon yourself. You forced me into killing you. You should have stayed in your pack and enjoyed it. But instead you came to this place because of your mate. You will be unable to do a thing when I'm going to kill your mate. You will have been dead by then, and you will have no reason to hate yourself about his death. You will have the chance to feel guilty that you can't do a thing while he is being killed. But I can't say that will be the case for the two of you. You will feel the pain of watching a loved one be killed in front of you, I said with a creepy smile on my face, and I could see her move back uncomfortably. You won't be able to do that. You won't live to tell the tale. You will regret ever messing with me. Jerome threatened as he got a hold of the cell bars, but he retreated his hands almost immediately with a frown on his face. He glared venomously at me, and I smirked while staring at him. I knew that it was almost time for me to get Erica killed. She had been staring at me for a while with a killing intent on her face, and I couldn't help but chuckle. I knew that she thought she would be able to take me up on it. I knew that she wouldn't be able to take any steps herself to stop me, not to mention kill me. I will stop you, and I will make sure I feed your flesh to the vultures. I heard Erica's voice snapped me out of my thoughts, and I stared at her with an amused look on my face. I knew that she had disregarded me as a person who wasn't up to her status. I knew that she might think that I could not kill her because she is so full of herself. I know that her being a young and vibrant person doesn't mean that she has what it takes to take on me alone. She must have downgraded me to an omega, which she can take on. I knew that she wouldn't have thought like that if she had seen me in action before. I knew that she would end up regretting ever thinking of killing me. I will make sure I kill you. And I rolled my eyes, knowing that all she had been saying wouldn't happen since I wasn't as she had thought. I knew she wouldn't be able to hurt one of my strands, and I was confident about it. I knew that it wouldn't be easy for me to take on Jerome, but I would be able to do that if he was weakened. Erica charged at me blindly with hatred written on her face. She had a determined look on her face, and she swung her hand, which she had wanted to use to punch me in the face. But I dodged it. I grabbed her arms and yanked them forward so that she was in front of me. She was so close to me that one would think that we were being intimate. I knew that I should waste less time while fighting with her, and I was going to do that. I punched her stomach, and she groaned in pain as she moved backward. She held her stomach with an unbelievable look on her face. I knew that she was expecting me to be weak, but she was wrong. She had been underestimating me since we started the fight. She had let me hit her deliberately. But what she doesn't know is that I'm not weak, just like she had portrayed me. I knew that I should finish her now and that it would be a great defeat for her since she was not expecting all this. I started punching her as fast as I could all over her body. She kept groaning at intervals, and Jerome kept on screaming for me to leave her alone, which I did after I saw what he did. Chapter 94. Jerome. I was angry with all that was going on, and there was nothing I could do about it. My face was frowned with anger as I watched the so-called Alpha tell me all that he had done to my parents. I was angry, and I would have destroyed the whole place if not for the fact that I don't want to go away from the plan. I knew that my doing that would jeopardize why this plan was set in the first place. I now understand why Erica told me that anyone can betray me, and that will put me in danger. I knew that the man would be after nothing but to kill me. All the words he said to me about my parents made me so angry that I was almost losing my cool. My eyes were filled with hatred toward the man who was responsible for all that had happened. I could now understand why I never had a wolf in the first place. And it was all because of him. I knew that he was a threat to everyone and that he only wanted me to end him at that moment. I was glad that Erica came in at the right moment when I was about to lose control of my anger. And I knew that it wouldn't have ended well if things had gone south. I was glad that Erica came in, and I couldn't help but feel happy about the whole thing. And I feel even happier with the way Erica handled the so-called leader of the council. It came as a huge shock to me that the killer of my parents had come after me. I can now understand why Mabel betrayed me. It runs through my blood. My father was betrayed by his best friend, and now I knew that it would make no difference if any of this happened again. I can now understand what a fool I was for not believing Erica. She had told me they should trust no one even before all this, and I now understand why she didn't tell anyone about our plan. I knew she was also afraid of getting betrayed. She had been betrayed by Alpha Otis, and she doesn't want any more surprises from anyone. I watched restlessly as Erica battled Alpha Otis with a worried look on my face. I could feel the color on my face turning pale as I watched as she was being trashed around by him. I felt my heart ache as I stared from afar, not knowing what to do. All I wanted at that moment was to find ways to save Erica from him. It hurt me to know that I was unable to do anything while my mate was being trashed around by an alpha who had always been kind to her. I watched as she was being punched to the ground and as she lay lifelessly on the floor, and I felt my anger grow as I stared at the scene in front of me. I felt my eyes turn cold after seeing the way she was being treated. My eyes felt heavy, and I could feel myself losing control over my anger. My vision had turned dark, and all I wanted at that moment was to kill the person who was about to kill my mate. He had raised his hand to kill my friend when the unexpected happened. My eyes glowed brightly red, and I felt a howl escape my mouth. Hair was starting to grow on my body, and my hands suddenly snapped from their original place, and I groaned in pain. My hands were too heavy for me to carry, and at that moment all I could think of was killing Alpha Otis. My vision turned red, and I could see dark spots appearing on my eyeballs, and I knew this must have been the lichen's transformation. I stood tall on the ground, and I felt my legs snap from their original place. My ears grew longer, and I felt an excruciating pain passing through my veins. I screamed out in pain, which sounded more like a howl. I suddenly felt all my senses heightened. I could perceive the smell of Erica, which filled my nose, and I let out an angry growl after perceiving the smell of Erica's blood, which filled my nose. I felt my body shake vigorously as I felt anger building up in me. I stood tall, not like every other wolf but like a lichen. I felt my eyes pierce through the body of the leader of the werewolf council, who was shivering with fear. My eyes flickered from normal to red, and I could read the fear on his face. His emotions were all over the place, but I don't care about them. All I wanted at that moment was to kill him. I dashed toward him in my manly form, but I was being hindered by the roof of the cave, so I punched it away, scattering it in the process. My eyes turned to look at Erica, whose body was lying lifelessly on the floor. My eyes were filled with shock, and for a split second, I was able to regain my senses. I could see the cave wall wanting to crash at any second from now on. and it was going to fall in Erica's direction. I knew that she would be hurt, and I felt the need to protect her. I pushed the wall in the opposite direction, and soon I was met with nothing but the dust that filled the whole place, but I could still see clearly despite the atmosphere. I spotted the alpha trying to run away through the door, but I dashed toward the direction where he was, grabbed him by the neck, and pinned him to the ground with my huge hand. He struggles to break himself free from me, but his strength is nothing compared to mine. I separated his head from his body, and blood spilled on my body, but I cared less. I sighed with happiness after I was done killing him, and I made my way toward where Erica was laying on the ground almost lifeless, without feeling remorseful for killing someone. I ran toward the direction of the pack with Erica in my hands. Chapter 95, Writer's POV. It has been days since the incident happened, and everything has been going smoothly. It was just as if nothing had happened the past few days because Jerome and Erica had decided to move on with their lives. They have decided that they won't live for the past but for the present. They knew not to brood on it, and it was an amazing thing. They have decided to have their mating ceremony and also the coronation. They all have a smile on their faces as they prepare for the coronation, which will be commencing at noon. Guests were everywhere and the pack was filled with a bustling energy. The pack was filled with noises as people chatter over the event that will be taking place in the evening. Everyone seems to love Erica and Jerome after the incident that happened. Everyone now knew what had happened, and it wasn't a secret anymore that the leader of the Werewolf Council wasn't as good as he had portrayed himself. Everyone now knows the truth that Jerome's father was the deceased Lycan who was also the leader of the Werewolf Council before. Everyone loved the deceased Lycan, and after they were aware that Jerome was his son, they loved him. Everyone had been trying to find ways to make him forgive them for all that they had done to him because they knew he could get them killed. Everyone now fears him, most especially because he had his Lycan's powers permanently, and it wouldn't have been like that if he had stalled off time. He wouldn't have been able to get his Lycan's power if he was at the exact age at which his Lycan's power would be sealed off permanently. Although the people feared him, they loved him. They loved the authority that he had, and even though he hated the fact that he had so much attention like that he can do nothing about it all. He didn't want something like that, and that was because he wanted a normal life where he would be able to live peacefully without the authority over the people, and he was looking forward to that. The pack was bustling with activities as people moved to and fro to get everything prepared for their mating and coronation ceremony. Everybody was happy and they all wanted to witness everything as it will happen. The people ranged from alphas, lones, betas and different high-ranked werewolves. They all wore a happy smile on their faces as they couldn't wait to witness two powerful wolves mating ceremonies. It was something that no one would want to miss. Time flew past and it was noon. Jerome and Erica could be seen standing opposite each other with their eyes on each other. They both had a great smile on their face as they couldn't wait to get with the ceremony. It was like every process should be skipped. They wanted everything to be perfect, but still they wanted everything to go by as soon as possible. Seconds passed and it turned into minutes and into hours. The coronation was done, and same with the mating ceremony. Everyone was congratulating them when all of a sudden the assistant council leader walked up to stage with a megaphone in his hand. He cleared his throat and he started, as we all have known. The rightful heir of the Werewolf Council is Jerome, and we all have concluded that we will let him take over as the leader of the Werewolf Council, and he will be taking over all what belongs to his father Alpha Brian, who happens to be the assistant leader of the Werewolf Council, saying, and a shocked look was mocked on everyone's faces. No one was expecting this, but Jerome knew that he will have to continue the legacy and that he won't want to let his father down. He agreed to take on the legacy, and he was crowned as the werewolf leader that instant. Everything had been planned by the Werewolf Council member and Erica. They were all happy to see the heir of the throne. Skip time. Erica walked out of the bathroom after having a cold shower. She was exhausted from the ceremony, but she then decided not to let her tiredness get in the way. She had planned everything out and she was ready to make things happen. She had taken her shower first and she spent a lot of time in the bathroom. She had decided to give Jerome her virginity since they had done their mating ceremony and all sorts. She knew it was right for her to give it to him as a gift to him on their first night. She had wore sexy lingerie that fitted her body, showing off her cleavages. She had taken another set of clothes to wear, and she wore it over the sexy lingerie she had. She doesn't want Jerome to be aware yet. Aren't you going to have your shower? Erica asked as she stared at Jerome before jumping on the bed. She lay down on the bed with a frown on her face. She knew that there was no way she would be able to open and remove the pajamas that she put on if he was in there. And just like she had wanted, he walked into the bathroom and she quickly stripped herself and she got under and lay down on the bed back almost immediately. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nogan, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Jerome entered the room almost immediately and I quickly pretended to be engrossed in something else. I did not know when he got beside me and he slowly sat beside, roaming all over my body. His body tensed a bit and he suddenly rubbed his hands on my body, sending this hot and unknown sensation traveling in my body. I could feel myself wanting more, and with that I grabbed his other hand and I used it to rub my body gently. I felt hurt and I could feel my body reacting to his each touch. All I could do at that moment was watch, unable to do anything. I had my eyes closed and it snapped open after I felt him stop. And just as I was about to talk, he kissed me, sliding his tongue into my mouth. My eyes widened with shock and I soon responded to the kiss. He roamed his hands all over my body. He tore my lingerie with his claws and he kissed me softly down to my stomach before proceeding toward PSSY. I felt my breath ease immediately. I felt his hot breath on my PSSY. I breathed heavily as I felt his tongue on my PSSY and I couldn't help but moan in pleasure. He kept lapping my PSSY with his tongue at intervals while using his hand to finger me. He slid in his finger slowly and he removed it. And he did again, and he added another finger in. I felt my eyes shut with pain as he did that. And I couldn't help but wonder what would happen if we were having sex. I knew that this was only his fingers and it got me so worked up like this. He kept his pace as he fingered me slowly while using his other finger to rub me. I felt a bit of sensation building up in me, and I suddenly felt the need to go to the toilet. I'm peeing, I said with a sad look on my face that I had just peed on the bed, but to my amazement what Jerome said next shocked me. You didn't pee. You had your first organism, he said as he stared at me as I breathed heavily. Oh, I muttered to her, and she smiled. We should probably move to the next step, Jerome said as he brought out his DCK, and I closed my eyes with my palm and he chuckled before he aligned himself at my PSSY entrance. I could feel his DCK poking me. If you feel any pain, inform me, Jerome said as she pushed his DCK into me slowly, and I shut my eyes closed with pain as I tried to endure it. Soon he pushed his whole length into me without any restrictions. And soon he started thrusting in and out of me at a fast pace. After what seemed like minutes, I could feel the burning sensation in my stomach and I felt something graze over my neck, and I knew with no doubt that they were Jerome's fangs. He sank his fangs into the crook of my neck after nibbling on my neck for a while. I felt an excruciating pain shot through my body, but it was soon replaced with enjoyment. I did the same to him and we could feel a bond forming between the both of us. And Jerome didn't stop thrusting in and out of me with his DCK. We both have our organism within minutes after we have marked ourselves. And I fall asleep almost immediately. And thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode of the story, please give it a like. And don't forget to subscribe to get notifications for updates.